Welcome to Global Village Show, where we bring the world to your doorstep. Today we have two guests. We have our Commander RCMP in Brooks, County of Newell, Staff Sergeant Tom McNulty, and our County Reeve, Molly Douglas. Welcome to the program.
Thank you. It's
Thank
good
you.
to be here.
As our Reeve in the County of Newell, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and maybe explain to the viewers the difference between City of Brooks and County of Newell?
Sure. I'll start with the difference. I'm called a Reeve, which is just another word that's similar to mayor. Very often rural municipalities have a head person who is called a Reeve, not a mayor. It's just a choice that they make. In our particular situation within the County of Newell, we have 10 councillors, and every October at our organizational meeting, our 10 councillors elect a Reeve from among their group. And so I have been the Reeve of the county for the last 8 years and thoroughly enjoy it, mainly because we have a wonderful region that works together very well, great people, and lots of good things going on. Anyhow, a little bit about me though. Before I was Reeve, I am married to a rancher and live in the northern part of the county out by the Red Deer River, not too far south of the Finnegan Ferry. And prior to that, I was prior to being Reeve, I was the principal of the school in Bassano and a teacher there for 20 years. And I always like to tell the story that I came to Bassano for 5 months. It was a 5-month term from February to June in 1981 to complete a junior high language arts teaching term, and I stayed for 20 years. That's how much I enjoyed this part of the country. And so I came from Manitoba in 1981 and I've been here ever since and love it.
Well, we love you too. I think, Tom, we also glad to have you last month segment, and we discussed about few things with regards to the policing in our area. Again, on behalf, I think, County Newell is here. How safe are we in Brooks and County of Newell in general?
In general, we're very safe. The County of Newell has a very low crime rate, very dispersed population. My office is responsible for policing 90% of the County of Newell, all of the north, east, and south areas, and then a little bit of the west side of the county is policed by Bassano. As a whole, the County of Newell is a very safe place to live. In the city of Brooks, the crime rate is a little bit elevated, but as is the population. However, there are some spectacular crimes that happen in Brooks every once in a while, but on a whole, I have no trouble having my family in Brooks. I've talked to many people who raise their family in Brooks and feel fine. They feel safe. So I don't think there's an unsafe area at all in Brooks or the County of Newell.
So in terms of gangs, do we have any gangs in Brooks or County of Newell? In terms of some media reports sometime a long time ago?
There's different levels of gangs. There's the youth gangs that kind of get together because of just very tight social networks and stuff, and to defend themselves or whatever, but they're not an organized criminal gang. Then there's the mid-level gangs. For example, some of your viewers might have heard of the African Mafia, which was popular out of Manitoba and Calgary. Yeah. And then we've got the big terrorist gangs, some like the Al-Shabaab and the Al-Qaeda people. In Brooks, we don't have any evidence of a solid gang base for gangs. Last month, we executed a number of search warrants in a drug investigation. those people were all connected in a gang-like atmosphere, but they didn't have a hierarchy, they didn't have a gang name. So to say there is no gangs, I may have been pretty premature when I said that previously, but there's no real organized gangs. We do have to protect ourselves and the community from people traveling from, for example, from Winnipeg to Brooks is one common one that I've heard. And they'll stop in at Brooks and try and recruit. And we have to educate the youth and be able to protect the youth from those recruiters, people that are coming and willing to radicalize the youth and take them away for nefarious purposes.
No, that's well said. And I think when you're referring to Manitoba, I believe sometime back they mentioned that African mafia from that area came to Brooks. I think that was sometime a couple of years ago that one of the reporters from Manitoba mentioned they went to Brooks at the time. But that was media speculation, and that might create also negativity towards the people in Brooks and County of Newell. So it's glad your clarification makes very much to the viewers that we don't have gangs as big gangs, which is organized gang.
But we are ripe for the influx of gang. If we don't educate, if we don't talk to each other, and if we don't prepare our youth especially, then we've failed. We must prepare them. Whether or not we have it or not, we must be able to give them the opportunity to say no and the strength to do that.
So meaning that we have to be proactive.
Very much, very much so.
Okay. Well, as you hear from our staff sergeant, what are your thoughts in terms of that kind of education to prevent the opportunity for those people coming from either criminal organization or maybe for radicalization, which is also very important for the people to be aware.
Right. It is interesting, Tom, to get an update on these things that are important to our community, and the fact that, I mean, the city of Brooks is our big populated area within the county, and it's right on #1 highway, so lots of things in a gang recruitment favor. And the first thing I think of, you know, is from an educational perspective, and I know Tom and his crew are involved in the schools, which that's where you can hit young people, but family life is still very critical to how kids are strong enough to say no. And so I think we need to support our families. We need to be involved in our communities and not afraid to speak out and notice things that are going on and talk to people like Tom and be involved in our communities. Know our communities is really important, I think.
So what are the, for example, I was reading an article that if you see, for example, your neighbor, people going out in a very different times of the day, that should give you some sort of hint. Would you want to elaborate that, so at least then the viewers will know the signals that they can feel if there is something wrong within their neighborhood?
Everyone in their neighborhood has a comfort zone. Everybody knows, after living in your neighborhood for a month or two, you know the norms of the neighborhood. You know when your neighbor goes to work at 6 o'clock in the morning and comes home at 4 in the afternoon, or goes to work at 10 at night and comes home at 3 in the morning. That's a norm. Every once in a while we'll get a neighbor that is very much different than the rest. There will be a high traffic area. People will be coming and visiting on an ongoing basis at all times of night. It's different, but what's different about it? Is it a crime, or is it a massage business, or like what is it? But you can tell. Your sixth sense or your gut feeling, you can tell something's wrong. And if you think something is wrong and it is interfering with the safety or the well-being of your community, we from the RCMP or any police force are in a position to help. If it is a crime that's going on, we can investigate the crime and try to eliminate it. If it's not a crime, if it's just a busy household, we can also educate the rest of the community about what's going on there. We can find out of what's going on. So not every busy house is a crime house, but every busy house should bring the attention to someone and ask the question, what's going on? And if you know it's a crime house, you can contact the RCMP or your local police. In Brooks or the County of Newell, it's my office, the RCMP, and we can be contacted through Crime Stoppers as well, by text, by email, Crime Stoppers, or by phone. But it's really important to let someone know that something is wrong at that residence.
So for example, when you have a neighbor who doesn't go nowhere, doesn't do anything that much during daytime or part of the evenings, and at the same time driving a beautiful Mercedes, unless that person won the 649 that you are aware of, then there must be a reason for somebody to say, you know what, I'm not sure if there is something right somewhere here, unless his family left him fortune of millions.
And there's always the two sides. There's always, you know, if you have a situation like that, 90% of the time or 95% of the time, there's a very legitimate reason for that lifestyle, for that choice. There is the 2, 3, maybe 5% of the time that it is crime-based. But tell us all the time, we gather intelligence on all sorts of crimes and all sorts of addresses and people. Somebody will tell me that Joe over in the corner sells cocaine. That's one piece of information that doesn't lead us anywhere. If I get 10 people telling me that, I'm going to start investigating Joe and we're going to have a real good look. But if only one person tells me, I'm not going on to a full-blown investigation on that one piece. We need multiple. Before sources. I'm willing to spend the taxpayers' resources, at the police resources, I need to be intelligence-led. I need to have a lot of intelligence to guide me on that investigation. So we need people to call in and tell us what's going on. If it's one piece of information, it'll sit there for a while until I get more. If it's 10, we're going to work on it.
No, that is, well, thank God that's the society we live in. That system we don't have back in most of the countries that in Africa or Asia, for that simple reason. You are always guilty. You found guilty before even it's vice versa here. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty. Most of the cases back in third world countries, you are guilty before even they prove that you are innocent. So you have to prove your innocence before you've been guilty for something. But that is maybe someday we will find also the same system through the world, which is democratic and open society. How would you then find the challenge of also the domestic violence? Because that's also part of things that the community should be aware of.
Domestic violence is another issue that permeates every part of the community, whether it be in the north part of the County of Newell, up by Cessford or Jenner or Rolling Hills or downtown in the city of Brooks. And it doesn't, it's not more prevalent in new Canadians than third or fourth generation Canadians. It's spread wide. But it's a very dangerous part of the stuff that we deal with. It's very harmful to a healthy family. I'm presenting, last week I did to the City of Brooks Council, and next week I will be presenting to the County Council a plan to have a domestic violence coordinated team work out of Brooks with a regular RCMP member, victim services member, and an outreach person to go in and under the guise of healthy families. When the police go, we will go and we will separate and we will ensure the safety of every person in the residence. but we don't fix things. We don't have the mandate to, we don't have the skill to. The team that I'm trying to put together, along with a group of domestic violence coordinated support workers in the city of Brooks and the county, we're going to put together this team that will go approach the family the next day, or the next, within a very short period of time. And again, we're not going to be talking about a perpetrator and a victim. We're going to be talking about a healthy family. How can we help the family be healthier? Is it an alcohol issue? Is it a money issue? Is it a cultural issue? Is it whatever the issue is? We will be able to access the support services to assist in counseling or however we can do it. It's still a voluntary basis. We're going to be a little bit forceful, but we're going to try one family at a time to try and help that family become healthier. Rather than throwing someone in jail and separating kids, we'll still require that avenue, but we're hoping to make a real big difference and lessen the repeat. You know, there's some families in the county and in the city where we go to 10, 12, 15 times a year. We need to do a much better job as a community to help that family.
But there are those people, especially from the immigrant population, that feels that if there is call coming from immigrant woman, the police will respond immediately and they will take the man out of the house without looking into what the issue is all about, meaning that they feel that they are being singled out because of their background of immigrant. The police makes a quick judgment when the call is from immigrant family.
When we when we are called to a domestic violence situation, we are presented with a certain level of evidence as we approach. Yeah. Who called? Maybe it's the wife called, maybe it's a neighbor called. What did they say and how did they say it? What do we see when we get there? Is there physical evidence? Is there a black eye, a broken nose? Where does the evidence lead us? We've got a fairly short amount of time because it's a hostile environment. And as soon as we go in, the couple get together against us. So we need to go in, separate, evaluate the evidence as quickly as possible, and take action. 90% of the time in all domestic violence, and this is my figure, I didn't get this from anywhere else, 90% of the time in all domestic violence cases, whether they're new immigrants to Canada, doesn't matter where they came from or their history, it's the male being the aggressor on the female. It didn't start that way. The argument started over here somewhere. It came up and the male turned to violent aggression. And that's what we see. Our job is to get in, separate, diffuse, and protect. Our job isn't to fix, to heal. We are learning how to facilitate that a little bit better. In the County of Newell and in the City of Brooks, there's a huge gap right now between the police intervention and the community support services. The community support services are quite often only directed by the courts or by self-referral. There's a big gap in there. The team that I want to put together is going to cross that gap. They're going to be working with the police very closely. We're going to have information sharing agreement so we can talk to each other and tell each other what we're doing. And we're going to be able to bring those services, which are very strong in Brooks and County. We have a very strong support social service network to do with all of the supports that we need. They're all there. We just need to get everybody together.
The same one just following up is there are some people that when, let's say, the woman calls the police for some sort of domestic violence and they come and then take the man out. And then for some unknown reason, the woman decides to make up and wants her husband or her boyfriend back. How that will work then?
I don't want to monopolize the conversation.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting.
In every
Important.
conflict, and especially in domestic violence, I'm just learning this as well, working with people like Shauna Bell from Cantera Safe House in Brooks. When the conflict happens, let's say it happens on a Friday night, and alcohol is involved, which quite often it is. Over the and a big fight occurs, and there is violence. The police interrupt the event, and let's say that we take one person to jail because they're drunk, and we can't ensure the safety of everyone involved. So we'll hold them till they're sober, until they understand the consequences of their actions that evening, and they can be held accountable for it. So that's why we hold people in jail. It's not to punish them, it's to make sure that they have everyone else is safe and that they understand what's going on. So the next morning, everybody's still mad. The woman's still mad at the man, and the man's still mad at the woman. The kids are really upset. Over the next 5 to 7 days, that tends to fall off. And as a natural, now I'm not a counselor, I'm not trained in this. This is just what I've picked up in the last little bit. The natural tendency over the next 5 to 7 days is to forget and forgive each other. Not fix, just forget and forgive and move on. And a month down the road, it's going to happen again, or 2 weeks, or 10 months, but it's going to happen again because nothing's been repaired. If we can get in to that family within that 5 to 7 days with a very active and very
roadmap,
a good roadmap, with the right people driving the car on that road, we can help that family repair itself. So the kids are happier, nobody's going to jail, nobody's going to the hospital, and we're not coming back in 2 weeks or a month.
That sounds good.
That sounds great. What would someone from outside should know about County of Newell in general, as a tourism-wise, or as
we're going to switch topics here.
There you go.
Well, the county,
because we already have now from the staff sergeant that we are very safe community.
Yes, we are.
So we have to.
And we appreciate people like.
There you go. So
Mr.
at least
McNulty.
then we have to flip to the tourism side.
We have to flip to the good stuff. And I appreciate hearing this from Tom, because it sounds like a good plan, good roadmap, good words to choose there, Ahmed. The County of Newell is blessed with all sorts of wonderful things. We have a strong agricultural economy, which always has ups and downs, but it's good right now. So we have to celebrate and enjoy that. Oil and gas, the energy economy is strong. You know, I like to tell people that about at least 70% of our tax assessment comes from oil and gas related facilities within our county. So that helps, makes us strong, and certainly able to spend more money than some municipalities. And our third strength is our tourism. And if you think about it within the County of Newell, and these are things that I didn't really think about a lot until I became more involved, was we have an incredible resource called Dinosaur Provincial Park, which is a World Heritage Site and an amazing place to camp and spend time and learn about the past. You know, when I was in the school system, little kids in particular, and some teachers loved dinosaurs. They always had dinosaur themes, and so we're in the heart of dinosaur country here. Not that I'm a dinosaur or Tom is a dinosaur or anything like that, but we have Dinosaur Provincial Park, wonderful place. We have the Eastern Irrigation District that supplies water to our agriculture producers, and also is in a position to use water for other good purposes. We have our reservoirs for irrigation, like Lake Newell, and that is a provincial park, Kinbrook Island Provincial Park, which is a marvelous place. Hard to even find a spot to camp in there in the summer because it's so popular. And another reservoir of water for irrigation purposes is Crawling Valley out by Bassano, and it has been developed in the last few years to a high level. So those are just three things that come quickly to mind, but part of our irrigation structures, things like the Bassano Dam, which is an amazing sight to see when it's full blast in the spring, and The Brooks Aqueduct, there's another part of our heritage, our history of water working wonders in our area. And so strong tourism faction. The County of Newell has an economic development committee and tourism committee together, and we have been working with our other municipalities, our what we call our mini munis, along with our 10 divisions in the county for the last probably 10 years on tourism and economic development. And the City of Brooks has decided to join us, and which will be a strength for sure, pool their resources. And so we believe that tourism is a growing aspect of Alberta. It's always been the Rockies. Everybody thinks Rockies. The Canadian Badlands now as well is another big piece of the tourism promotion.
Someone told me that County of Newell is the 7th richest county in Alberta, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know, in terms of...
You know what?
Yeah.
I'm sort of like Tom. There's these 90% stats, and you'll say this number 7, and you could be absolutely right. We are definitely a fortunate county,
Good.
Ahmed, and part of the reason why we have shared some of our financial resources in the last 5 and 6 years, and we believe that all of our communities are important. There are no magic boundaries. You know, when you leave the City of Brooks, it doesn't say you're now entering the County of Newell and get out your passport or something. And so we're all in it together.
Yeah.
And so we, and our rural residents need the city. They need the town of Bazzano and the villages of Dutchess, Rosemary, and Tilly, as well as our hamlets. The hamlets belong to the county. And so, yes, we are blessed.
So what is good for Rosemary is good for Brooks.
Absolutely. And you know what is amazing? Right now we have good people around our council tables who understand and believe that. So it's more collaborative. Often in the past it's been competitive, and funny ideas grow from competition sometimes, and we need to get together and work together in everything we do and accept what is good for us all.
No, I thank you very much, I think, and I have seen the account of the councils when I came and you invited me to do the presentation. They are wonderful people trying the best they can for
Yes.
the common good of our citizens, and that's why we call Brooks County of Newell home. Sometimes my kid says, you know what, you are not a new Canadian. You are not a real Canadian. You just, I'm a real Canadian because I was born here. And I said, you know what, we are all Canadians. Even though you were born here, makes no difference that the person that happened to be here for a very long time. So that's why we all call home Brooks County of Newell, and we are very glad to have you as our County of Newell Reeve.
Good.
I think you have to be a teacher to be elected, I believe, in that area. So I'm wrong profession anyway. So
Mayor Martin and
he was a
Reeve
teacher.
Molly, yeah.
Yeah, he was a teacher also. So you have to be a teacher, Tom, to be elected in that county and City of Brooks, to be a mayor or Reeve. Maybe you are in the wrong profession as well when you retire.
Too late for me.
There you go. But thank you very much. It was pleasant to have you, both of you. And it was always great to have you, and we hope to have you next time in the near future, Tom and Molly.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the good work you do for our community too, Ahmed. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Molly. This was Global Village show, and thank you very much for our viewers. Until then, we hope you will join us next time. Until then, have a wonderful day and have a wonderful evening. This is